Hi, before we start this powerful story, I'd love to invite you to join this growing community. If you enjoy real, emotional stories that inspire and make you think, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps a lot. Let's get into it. He mocked the black janitor for the color of his skin, for the mop in his hands, for daring to exist in his dojo. But he had no idea. The man he insulted once trained warriors who could have crushed him without breaking a sweat. Brandon. Cole wasn't just a fighter, he was the champion, 5 years undefeated, a black belt by 19, arrogant, loud, and deeply admired by every student in that suburban martial arts academy. But beneath his confidence was something far uglier, a quiet racism, a subtle cruelty masked behind cocky jokes. So when the dojo hired a new janitor, a quiet black man, named Calvin, Brandon had already made up his mind. He's just here to clean. No respect, no story, no reason to look twice. And that's exactly how he treated him. Calvin never said much. He swept mats, scrubbed showers, cleaned windows. Always early, always quiet. Students barely noticed him. Coaches waved him off. Brandon bullied him with smiles. Careful with that mop, old man. It might be the closest thing you've ever had to a sword. Sometimes he called him chief with a smirk. Other times just snapped his fingers at him. No one stopped him, no one cared. After all, who defends a janitor? But what they didn't know was this. Calvin James had once trained soldiers, not here in America, back home in Liberia. He was a master of traditional combat, an instructor of discipline, and a legend in his own right, until civil war burned his village and grief silenced his soul. He lost his wife. He lost his son. He never picked up a GI again. Until now. Friday nights at the dojo were show-off sparring nights. Brandon loved it. He'd call out rookies, toss them like toys, then flex for Instagram. This night, he was bolder. He saw Calvin wiping sweat from the mats and laughed loud enough for all to hear. "Hey, Janitor Joe, why don't you hop in here and show these kids how to dodge taxes?" The room laughed, but not Calvin. And that was the moment Brandon pushed. Too far. "Come on, don't be scared. I'll go easy. Let's give the crowd a little kung fu comedy, huh?" He tossed a pair of gloves to Calvin. Everyone turned. They expected Calvin to wave it off, embarrassed. Instead, he stepped forward. The room fell quiet. Calvin took off his work shirt. Beneath it, his arms told a story. Scars, muscle, discipline. He didn't speak. He bowed. Brandon laughed nervously, bouncing on his feet like a boxer. "First move," Brandon lunged. It was over in 2 seconds. Calvin dropped him with a sidestep and a precise shoulder lock. Brandon gasped. He tried again, strikes this time. But Calvin didn't strike back. He danced. He flowed. And each time Brandon fell, humiliated. At the end of it, Calvin stood still. Calm, grounded. Brandon was flat on his back, wheezing, face red with confusion and shame. Who are you?" he finally whispered, and Calvin just looked at him. "I'm the man you never bothered to see." That night, the head coach pulled Calvin aside. He asked why he never told them who he was. Calvin paused, eyes misty, staring at a photo of fighters on the wall. "Because I didn't come here to fight. I came here to heal." He explained everything, the war, the loss, the pain, the silence. He hadn't fought in years, but that day he needed to. Not for revenge, but to remind someone that respect is earned, not demanded. Brandon didn't return the next day, but when he did, he was different. He walked straight up to Calvin, head lowered, hands shaking. "I'm sorry," he said. "I thought strength was about domination. But you showed me. It's about control." He extended a hand, not mockingly, genuinely. Calvin took it and nodded. From that day on, Brandon trained beside Calvin in the early hours, before the others arrived. He listened. He learned. Thai. Dojo began to shift. Students stopped laughing at janitors. They started bowing deeper, watching closer. Respect returned to the mats. Strength isn't loud. It doesn't wear medals. Sometimes it holds a mop instead of a sword. And sometimes, the strongest man in the room is the one no one ever noticed.